DVDs, CDs, vinyls, books. Hi, I'm Jenni and I collect a lot of physical media, and here are the 3 reasons why. Number 1, I don't trust streaming services anymore. Listen, we used to have, me and my partner Joel, 3 streaming service subscriptions: Disney+, Max and Netflix. Now we only have Netflix. Why? Because you can't trust them. There have been so many times when we have gone through all 3 of these streaming services and just could not find the movie or the series we wanted to watch. Even in situations where they had been on those streaming platforms, but they just were removed. So to have that worry that something that I regularly watch or something that I would like to watch or rewatch can be removed at any point, it's not nice. To be really frank, it's just not nice. So we have prioritized buying the movies we want to actually watch and want to maybe rewatch in the future much more in the past couple of years than before. We have also utilized free-to-watch streaming services. For example, Yle Areena, which is the streaming service provided by our government-funded media site. So it's not really free because the money comes from our taxpayer euros, but still we have utilized that more. And we have also utilized Cineast, which is a movie streaming service provided by our library. Again, not technically free since our taxpayer euros do pay for that, but still a really great platform to watch movies on, and they have quite many new movies available there as well. The second reason why I support physical media and like to consume it and buy it is that it's a great way to support the artists that you love. I have talked about how artists don't really get much money from streaming music on Spotify and other services, that they get much more money from album sales. I've talked about that before, and again, I want to emphasize that that's a better way to support your favorite artists as opposed to just streaming their music on Spotify. And I do actually listen to my CDs. I have a CD player. I also have a record player for my LPs. So in a way, I feel that listening to CDs and vinyls makes listening to the music and what the artist is trying to say and convey with their music, it feels much more intentional on a CD player or a record player as opposed to like on a playlist on a streaming service. And also I love collecting. I do love a good collection. I mostly focus on buying CDs and records from my favorite artists to kind of just have their whole discographies in my collection. And third one is probably the most important one, but the ownership. When you have a streaming service, you don't really own the media that you want to consume. There was a major discussion recently on BookTube and book social media about how Amazon will not allow downloading the ebooks that you have bought through Amazon. You are not allowed to download them or back them up on your device anymore. I personally don't use Amazon's book services. I mean, yes, I have my poetry collection up on Amazon, but really I don't use them Amazon for reading. It kind of horrifies me, the idea that you have bought something that can be taken away from you. Like recently, I think it was last year, every Kindle that had purchased the 1984 on their devices, it was removed from all of those. And that's really fucked up in my opinion. And in the videos that I watched about these topics, quite many comments brought up the fact that if buying is not ownership, then piracy is not a crime. I do understand that sentiment completely. I personally use Google Play Books for my ebooks, and so far I've been able to download them and own them. However, I am mindful about not buying too many ebooks, just in case that there is a situation where they would not be available for me anymore. That's why I prefer buying physical books over ebooks, because at least no one can come to your home and take away your books that you have bought, right? So when I search physical media online, there were a lot of recent discussions about owning physical media, if the quality is any better on DVDs, if it's worth it, and so on. And a lot of the sentiments that I shared here were repeated there as well. Many of the articles and the forum discussions emphasize the importance of physical media in the era of streaming. However, many also brought up the idea of maybe it can be wasteful if you don't pay attention or aren't careful with what you buy, and that it will all end up in the landfill eventually on. With that in mind, I personally try to think very carefully about the media I buy, the books I buy, the CDs and DVDs I buy. And I think about 90% of all of the physical media I own is something that I absolutely genuinely love and want to keep in my home. But an alternative and very important social service that everyone should remember to support is your local libraries. Listen, libraries offer so much that people might not even be aware of. So of course there are books in many languages. There are games, there are magazines that you can borrow, there are newspapers, DVDs, even like whole seasons of series at least are available at my local library. And they also offer so many different services. Like I know my local library offers different kind of reading clubs and other support with IT and so on. My local library even offers season tickets to the symphony, which I think is amazing. And then the library in Helsinki recently shared that they would offer small stools and chairs to be available for borrowing. So I highly recommend that you support your local libraries. And additionally, there are also online services provided by your library. At least here for me, I also already mentioned Cineast. And then also the Libby app, where you can read ebooks. At least my experience has been great with Libby. I have found so many great books there. You have 2 weeks to finish the book and then you return it. So it is crucial, especially in these days when fascism is literally here. It is so important to support library services. I live in Finland, but most of my audience is in the US, and currently the Trump administration is trying to remove federal funding from libraries. That's really fucked up. Libraries, at least in Finland, are set as a right that every town needs to have a library because it is the right of citizens to have a library. So to cut federal fundings from such a crucial, important service is unacceptable, and I will provide a link below to help support local libraries in the US. I wanted to make a kind of personal video about why I collect physical media, because I feel like a lot of the same sentiments are repeated when it comes to talking about physical media, about how streaming services and TV channels and all that, how they are just expensive messes, really, how this show is here, but then this show is there, but this movie is here. So I wanted to share how I, in my personal life, combine streaming services with physical media, and how and why I want to do that. How about you? What do you think of physical media? Do you collect it? Do you prefer streaming services? Remember to support your local library. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this video. For more book updates, follow my Bookstagram account, jenskosmos, and I hope I see you in the next one. Bye!